Hi there, Sandy here. Welcome to another polymer clay video at my YouTube channel and my blog, keepsakecrafts.net. Today is the first in a series showing you how to use polymer clay to sculpt the flowers and leaves and all the decorations for this votive holder. It's a fun project and you can use mostly clay from your scrap bin. So in today's video, I'm going to show you how to do 3 different types of leaves on your votive holder. I'm just going to use one of these little ones, but you could certainly decorate any size glass piece. And one of these that has a slight curve is good, and I'll explain why as we go along. So the first thing you'll need to do is get some scraps of different shades of green clay. What I like best is to have a variety. So I've got a bright green and a dark green, a light one, a Kelly green, a blue green, a yellow green, a metallic. I've even got a little beige and brown mixed in there, and a cat hair. So just a whole bunch of different greens, and we're going to start off by making a cane. And it's really simple to do. Just condition each of your clays separately, run them through the pasta machine on like a thinnish setting, maybe a medium setting, it doesn't really matter. And then just stack them all up. You can see they're not, all the same size. They're roughly a similar size. Stack them up. Take the stack, rip it in half, roughly, and then stack them together. Use your roller to roll them out, and if you need to, use your blade to peel it up off the surface. Rip it in half again. Stack it and roll it out one more time. And now I'm just going to take this and roll it up into a log. Try not to incorporate air into it, so roll it up nice and tight. And you can see you get a fair amount of cane even just from several little scrap pieces. So I'm just going to cut off the ends here. And that doesn't look like much quite yet, but we're not done. I'm just kind of shortening this bit because it's a little bit easier to manage when it's shorter and wider. So then take your clay blade and cut this into 4 pieces lengthwise. Just like that. So now you have these 4 pieces that from the end look like a quarter circle. Press that sharp corner, that 90-degree corner, down onto your work surface. And use 2 fingers to kind of press those cut edges down as well, turning that quarter circle into a half circle. And then this next step is helpful if you have something thin. This is just a mandrel, just like an 1/8 inch piece of metal. You don't have to have it, but it helps because you can kind of use that to press those edges in. To get it out, just give it a bit of a twist. You can pop that out. And now you're going to press this so that from a side view, your piece is more of a teardrop shape now. And repeat with the other 3. So here I have all 4 of my teardrop shaped canes made. Now there's a couple of ways you can proceed from here. Here's another cane that I made where I wrapped each teardrop with a thin layer of brown clay before putting them together, just to give them some definition. So it really depends on what you want. I decided I didn't like this look in my final leaves, but you could try any color. You could try gold or silver or an ecru or anything you want, but I decided I'm going to skip that for these leaves. And you just want to put your 4 canes together, and it doesn't matter that they're kind of lumpy bumpy, but just put them together with the pinched or pointy edges next to each other. I love these kind of scrap canes where you don't have to be precise, but you do get a really cool look. So once those are together, you can just roll them out in your hands to make the whole thing a smooth round. And now this is what we'll use to make our first leaves. So I'm just going to cut off some of the distorted cane on the end. And now you can just see just kind of the suggestion of foliage and greenery. You can cut slices, and the thicker your slices, the bigger you can make your leaves. And if it gets squishy, just give it a quarter turn in between every cut. And then as you look at this cane, you should be able to tell where the pinched edges were, and that's where I will pinch the leaf also. And now you can see those swirls that we made. And then you can really proceed any way you want here. You could add some edges to the leaf, like that. You can just take a needle tool and draw lines, like one of those big broadleaf plants. Whatever you want. You can flatten that a bit more. You can pinch it, pull it down, shape it, and then apply it to your votive holder. And put as many as you think looks good. Remember that we're going to have a lot of other things on here. So that's leaf type number 1. For the next one, I'm going to grab up just some of the cane end, the scrap here. You don't need much. And I've got a little bit more of one of the colors that I use. This was one of the lighter colors. But you can go in any direction you want. And I'm just going to mix these two together thoroughly. You can see this is actually a leftover bit of cane from a project. If you followed my dragons last year in 2015, I actually made a dragon that was covered with this pattern. And this is just some scrap. So if you don't have a pasta machine, you can mix clay pretty much the same way, just with a roller. Just fold, roll, fold. Always push from the fold up so that you're not incorporating air into your clay. It won't show right now, but once you bake it, those air pockets will expand and create a bubble in your baked clay, which usually doesn't look nice. And you don't have to mix it 100%. You can leave it kind of marbled. So that's good. I'm happy with that. And now you're just going to pinch off small amounts. You can leave it a little wider at the end, 1/2 inch to 1 inch or so. Now I'm going to take my needle tool and just make marks. Down to about where I want the stem part to begin. And we're going to use this to make fiddleheads. So I try to roll that end into a point. And then my favorite tool for this is just using my fingernail against the tile to nudge that clay around. And then you just spiral it around. And so the marks that you made kind of look like the design that you see in a fiddlehead fern. And there it is. And then you can use a clay blade and pick it up and put it on your piece. Now whatever part is going to be touching the table as the piece sits, I'll try to bring the clay just down to that point at some point. We will cover all that over. And you can, I like to put these on, these fiddleheads, in like groupings of 3 or so. Some facing different directions, some bigger, some smaller. Look at pictures of real fiddleheads to get an idea. And then repeat to add as many of those as you like to your piece. The final one is one of my favorites. I just love the look of it. And here I'm using some of the clay I used in the cane mix, again, so everything will go together. This is Primo Wasabi. I love this color. And again, you can use a pasta machine or your roller to just roll it out nice and thin. So about that thin. And now take your clay blade and you're just going to cut off one edge. And then you can start cutting long, narrow triangles. Do make sure that the blade reaches all the way to the tile underneath. And then you'll just lift them up, separate them one at a time. I find it easier to do if it's pointing towards me. Use my needle tool to make a single vein line down the center. And then use a razor blade to make little diagonal notches all along those long edges. And sometimes you'll lose the tip as you get up here. It'll just break off, and that's okay. Try not to go, especially on the bottom bit, try not to go all the way to that central vein, or you'll possibly cut your piece in half. But you could still use the pieces. Now this wants to curl up on itself when you lift it up, so just get your blade under there, hold on to the bottom, and then lift up the rest. And now if you just give this a little bit of a tug, you can see how those pieces separate, and it really has a great realistic and graceful look. And then you can put this on, and I like to kind of, just give it a bit of shape. If you accidentally smush some of your lines, you can always use your blade. Kind of put those back in. And then you want to put as many of these as you like on your piece. Now the reason that I said we need to use a slightly rounded piece is so that all our clay will stay on there and we're not going to have to glue it on later. Because once this is baked, these will just pop right off the glass. So what we want is a slightly rounded shape so that we can connect these all together. When we're done, all the pieces will be overlapping. Here's the beginnings of another one I made, and I tried to make sure that they touched each other, and as I add more to this, I'll make sure everything is overlapping. There'll be a lot more down the bottom here. So it'll all be connected, and just the shape will hold the rigid clay onto the votive holder. And so there you go, how to make 3 different types of leaves and add them to any object really that you wish to decorate. For a complete list of tools and materials that I used in this project, click here to go to the accompanying blog post. And here's another look at the project we're making. I hope you liked it and that you'll give some simple polymer clay sculpting a try. It really is very fun and satisfying. Be sure to check back next week for part 2, where I will show you how to make some flowers. Thanks so much for watching Keepsake Crafts videos. If you liked this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and share. Also, if you haven't already subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do. For 3 new videos every week, I upload on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And be sure to follow me on Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, and on my blog. Happy creating. Bye-bye.